Hello, thank you for coming back to my kitchen. You are very welcome. Today I've been making mince pies. Look at these. This recipe is a very old recipe. I've been making these mince pies exactly the same as I've done today for over 35 years now. So in the mince pies is mincemeat, obviously, but I also add glace cherries, which I just love. Cherries are one of my favourite things. And on the top is the topping is a recipe I got from my old mother-in-law, all those years ago, over 35 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. So you coat the top with egg white and then put caster sugar over, and it cooks in the oven, and the egg white with the sugar in just rises up. I don't know if you can see that. And it's just a meringue top, but it looks like frost. It looks like the frost has come down at night and landed on the mince pies, and it makes them look really Christmassy. So yes, let's have a taster for you. I'll cut this in half to make it a bit less crumbly. That's what the inside looks like. And what I do, so I turn it upside down so you're tasting the meringue bit first. Oh, that's very nice. This is the first taste this year I've had a mince pie, and yeah, I'm going in for another one. Delicious. So I hope you enjoy them as much as I do, and here's how I made them. So the first thing we need to do is sieve 8 ounces of plain flour. 8 ounces is 225 grams. So we're making the pastry at the moment. It's we need to get the pastry done and in the fridge for half an hour. And this is 4 ounces or 100 grams of butter, very cold butter. This has been in the fridge. So I'm just cutting this up. Pieces of butter just need to be cut up as small as you can before you go in with your hands. As soon as you go in with your hands, it's going to get warm, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to keep the butter very cold. Yes, the best pastry is made with cold hands. Cold hands and a warm heart. Now we just go in with our fingers and just push like this. Break all the butter up into the flour until it resembles fine breadcrumbs. So when it's mostly done and you've just got a few bits, just grab them and give them a little rub in the flour. There, that's getting there. There, can you see the texture there? It's all the butter and the flour is incorporated. We haven't got any separate flour or separate butter. A few little lumps. Try and get rid of those. There, that's what's meant by resembling fine breadcrumbs. So in my jug I have some water. It needs to be very cold water. We just need to make, with a knife, just make a little well in the middle and pour the water in. Just a little bit at a time. And give it a mix. And another little bit. Now the amount of water you need will depend totally on the day, how warm it is. Obviously on a warmer day the pastry is going to come together quicker, but it's best it doesn't really. You need a cold day for pastry, so December is just about perfect because it is really cold here now. Now I'm just going to put a tiny bit more in there. That should be enough. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. Right, see how that's starting to clump? That's done. Whoops! Always get a bit escaping. So now, pull my sleeve up very slightly, go in with your hand there, and that comes right together. Look at that. Let's get it into a ball. And if you can wipe the sides around like that without it sticking, that means you've done well. That's perfect. I'm going to flatten that out into a little round disc. And we're going to put it into some cling film and we're going to pop it in the fridge for about half an hour. If you're in a very, very cold kitchen, it might be cold enough to go in the fridge in about 20 minutes, but I would say about half an hour. And if you put it in that disc, then it's in the shape, ready to roll out when it's done. There. So next we need to prepare the mincemeat. I've got a jar of mincemeat here. This is Tesco's Finest with ruby port. Tesco's is my favourite, always get Tesco's. So we need about half a jar. So I've written out here, half a jar. Sorry, maths isn't my strong point. So about 200 grams or 7 ounces of mincemeat, but I never weigh it, it's just half a jar. Every year, half a jar. And half a tub of glace cherries. And this tub is 200 grams, so about 100 grams of glace cherries. And we're going to cut these up into quarters. Of course, if you don't like cherries, you don't need to put them in, just use the mincemeat. Cherries are one of my most favourite things. Just give them a mix around. Excuse that noise, it was the tap dripping because I just washed my hands because they were all sticky from cutting the cherries. Now give them a good mix in. It does take a while to get them all incorporated in the mincemeat. Oh, it smells nice. Smells like Christmas. It's beginning to smell a lot like Christmas. There. So that's all ready when the pastry's had its half an hour resting. So now we need to put our oven on, so it'll be 190 degrees centigrade or 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and we'll put the pies together. We'll construct the pies. So I've buttered my little pie pan here. You can use a muffin pan, or these are quite small. I always use this one, but a muffin pan will be fine. And this is the pastry out the fridge. We need to flour. We need to roll the pastry out. Just put a little flour underneath if it starts to stick. As I said earlier, it's best to make pastry in a cold kitchen, but now the oven's on. It's not so cold anymore. There's nothing we can do about that because we need to cook them. We need a pastry quite thin. Just a little more, a little thinner. There. So I have two cutters. This is a 7 centimetre, that's going to be the base, and this is a 6 centimetre, that's going to be the top. So we need to cut out an even amount of each, and they can be either scalloped or round. I always do them scalloped, because when I used to do cooking at school, for sweet things, you always had to have scalloped edges. And for savoury, you would only have round. That was kind of a rule. Make sure you cut close to the edge each time, so we're not wasting too much pastry. We don't want to roll this pastry out too many times. That's the last one. All these scraps, just put them on top of one another. They can be rolled out again. Now I need to cut out the pies, the tops for the pies. Can you see it? You can see up here. You can't see up here. Let me just move you slightly up here. What I'm doing is I'm just cutting the tops out and leaving them. Let's move everything down so you can see what I'm doing. To go on, that's the wrong size. We want the smaller one for the top. So I want 12 tops because I've got 12 bottoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, oh look at that, just about 12. So this will be the first batch in, and then we'll just roll these scraps out to make some more pies once these have cooked. And now we need to get the filling and fill the pies up. Yeah, so stand back and make sure they're all about even. At this stage you're going to need a little bit left over for the rest of the pastry. They look about good. Maybe a little bit more. And this little one over the edge here. There. Now in this little jug I have egg white. So we'll just take our tops, paint the top, because this is going to glue it on the top here. Once you've got all your tops on, get the end of a spoon or something similar and just go round the edge. This will take time, but be patient. 1, it makes them look pretty. And 2, you're pushing the top piece of pie down onto the bottom piece of pie to keep it there, to keep it glued in place. If you don't do this to keep it glued, once it's cooking it will just spring off and you'll end up with mincemeat everywhere. They're done. And now for the topping. Our spoon again. Now we need to puddle egg white. There needs to be a lot of egg white, so swamp them with egg white. This is going to make the lovely frosty topping. It's almost meringue. That's why we need lots and lots of egg white. Try not to drip it on the edges because they do tend to get stuck if you go on the edges as it cooks, but hey, it's worth it. Woohoo! Put that bit in that. Really put tons on. It's not just a covering, it's a puddling. I'll go around again with ones I think are a bit dry. Right, now caster sugar. Just sprinkle caster sugar, quite a lot of caster sugar, all into the egg white, and this forms a meringue top and makes them look frosty. It does help if you have a small spoon like this one that I've got. There, I think we've covered them enough. So they will cook in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes, but keep an eye on them. That's my oven. They've had the 15 minutes. Let's see if they're done. Look at those. And they look delicious. Yum. So when they're out the oven, what we need to do is transfer them onto a baking tray. And this needs to be done quite quickly, because if you've spilt any sugar like this one around the edges, you'll need to get it out quickly to stop it solidifying there. Ooh, that's hot. There, that's out. But if I'd left that any longer, that would have been stuck. There's one here too. There, that came out a bit easier. Do be careful doing this though, because they're very hot. And if you've got any mincemeat around the edges, that's going to be even hotter. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 5 more here. I'm just going to butter this same tray and put them in the oven for another 15 minutes. So 12 there and 5. So this recipe today made 17 mince pies. These mince pies are just as good hot or cold. They can be served with a cup of tea, or they can be served as a pudding, warm with ice cream, cream, or hot custard.